to Fearless Friday, your day to reclaim your weekend and your life. I'm Flora with the FloraSageTherapiesInstitute.com, and today we're going to talk about procrastination and why it can be a really good thing. Many times in our lives we have heard that procrastination is bad and that we should avoid it at all costs. But most of us at one time or another have procrastinated. We've wanted to have or needed to have a challenging conversation with someone, but we've waited and waited and waited, and then we decide to have it. We've had a bill maybe that we forget about or that we choose to procrastinate about. Then when we end up paying it, maybe we have a late fee or something, or an overdraft charge, or some type of extra fee associated with not paying that particular thing on time. Maybe you have a project at work that you choose to wait until the very last minute, right before the deadline, to finish. And then you finish it and you feel all rushed and stressed and under pressure, and then you turn it in and you're like, oh, phew. And with each of the times and scenarios and events that you've chosen to procrastinate about, you've built up this energy and this momentum of waiting and waiting and waiting, and then all of a sudden this flurry of activity right before the deadline or right before the event, whether it's that conversation or whatever, and then you release that energy and you're like, oh, okay, woo, and you're done with it. Now think about that build-up. Think about that momentum that we build when we are choosing to procrastinate. And then I'd like for you to think about a time when you didn't procrastinate, when you knew a bill was due so you paid it, or you knew that you wanted to have a challenging conversation. I really hate to say difficult conversation, because that's really how we choose to set it up in our mind. It's really that mindset. So that challenging conversation that you may be having with someone, and you realize, well, you know what, I think I just really want to address this right away instead of waiting. So then you go ahead and have that challenging conversation, and it actually wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. Or you have a deadline coming up in 2 weeks, and instead of waiting until 2 days before, you choose to make an outline and do this plan and contact this person and contact that person and do anything else that you need to do. And then all of a sudden when it's due, then you can say yay, and you can turn it in and meet the deadline without that rush and flurry of activity right at the end, and that momentum and that building up of that anticipation of actually doing that particular project. So think about those two scenarios of that build up and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then that sort of carrying through and doing that energy and that particular act slowly over time or right away, and not procrastinating about it. So the energies are very different. This one of just doing it when you should or want to do it or need to do it by, and then the other one of just building up and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then that flurry of activity right at the end. Now I think doing both of those at various times in life is very productive. Getting that sense of satisfaction, that really almost immediate gratification of doing something when we feel we want to do it, or that we feel we need to do it, or we feel we should do it at that time. Whether it's, okay, I got a bill, I'm just going to write the check and I'm going to send it in the mail right away, or I'm going to write the check and prep it so whenever I get paid I can send it right away, or I'm going to call this person up now that I'm thinking about it and say, hey, you know what you said to me yesterday kind of bothered me, so I'd really like for us to talk about it before I make something bigger than what it actually is, or a mountain out of a molehill. And then when you allow yourself to just respond and go with the energy as it's presenting itself to you, you find that you're going to have more energy throughout the day for other things that present themselves. Now when we procrastinate and we say, oh, I've got this bill, I'm just going to, toss it aside and maybe look at it after I get paid, or, oh, I'm just too stressed out, I'm going to look at it later, or, oh, I need to have this conversation, I can't believe so-and-so said that about me yesterday, oh my gosh, I'm so mad, I'm so pissed off, oh, and then so you just let it fester, and you sit with it and sit with it and sit with it and just wait, and then you really do, or many times, build that mountain out of that molehill. And then that deadline that you're waiting and waiting and waiting for, and you find yourself avoiding doing that particular thing, whether you start playing Tetris or Candy Crush or whatever else on your computer, and then finally you just say, okay, I'm going to do it. And many times when we have that procrastinating energy and we find ourselves resistant to whatever it is that we're trying to avoid, or resistant to whatever thing that we feel that we need or want or should be doing, such as meeting that deadline or having that conversation or paying that bill, notice that resistance and really ask yourself, why am I choosing to avoid this particular situation, whether it's paying that bill or having that conversation? And really ask yourself, what am I missing about this situation that I feel that I can't move forward in it? And really embrace that procrastinating energy. Really embrace it. Don't avoid it. Embrace it and say, okay, I feel like procrastinating. So I'm going to procrastinate, but I'm going to actively procrastinate. And I'm going to feel it and say why. And really ask yourself, check it, question yourself. Why am I choosing to avoid doing this particular task? Why am I choosing to avoid to send this email? Why am I choosing to avoid having this conversation with this person? And when you do that, you can give yourself that opportunity to create these aha moments in your brain and in your spirit and in your life. And you can say, well, the reason why that I'm avoiding having this conversation with so-and-so is because when I've had a conversation with her or him in the past, it's resulted in this particular blow up or this particular conversation or this particular series of events. So you can reflect on that and then choose to approach it in a different way. If you find yourself procrastinating about paying a bill, ask yourself, okay, why am I choosing to pay this? Well, because when I do this, I'm going to have to open up my checkbook and see that I'm in a negative balance. Why am I in a negative balance? Because I keep having to pay overdraft fees. Okay, so pay them now when they're due so you don't have to pay the overdraft fees. And then when you open up your checkbook, you can see, oh, wow, I have money in here and I'm not overdrawn. If it's a deadline, okay, do I really work best under pressure? Which a lot of people say that they do. Well, the pressure is all in your head. The pressure feels like that really tight momentum. If you feel that you work best under pressure and you have a deadline, let's just say it's 2 weeks out, set mini deadlines for yourself. I want to get my outline done by this date. Boom. I want to get this done by this date. This done by this date. So you can give yourself mini deadlines within that big deadline so that you can essentially work under pressure and have these little mini deadlines that you can achieve and whatnot. But the key basically is to figure out why you're choosing to procrastinate. Because many times when we procrastinate, we feel we're missing something, that key component or that element that will make whatever it is that we're waiting to do more fulfilled or have more meaning and feel better, okay? And many times it's that buildup that we really enjoy, or that kind of tight, constricted or restricted energy, and that energy of just waiting, that resistance. Because many people, especially in today's society where it's very much rush, 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 and it's almost very instant, many times we miss that feeling of accomplishment. And so when we have this resistance and this buildup of energy, it's almost like two magnets being almost forced together when it's those opposites attract, and so they're going, and you're pushing and pushing and pushing. Finally, when you meet that goal or have that conversation or have that bill, like paid, then all of a sudden it's that moving of energy that is really, really refreshing and very exhilarating, and almost this kind of mini adrenaline rush. So when you do that, you can really allow yourself to feel that momentum, feel that resistance, and feel that energy. And then when you actually do that task or that event or that conversation or whatever, then you can feel that rush of energy and feel that giving way of that resistance. So honor both streams in your life. Honor the streams of energy where you choose to procrastinate, and honor that stream of energy in which you choose to act and do when you're guided instead of waiting. And we can learn so much about ourselves. We can have so many insights and have so many aha moments from choosing to embrace procrastination in a healthy way instead of viewing it as something that is bad. And when we do this is a surefire way to become fearlessly inspired. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and share it with all your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and any other social media, as well as an email. Until next week, I'm wishing you a fearless and fabulous day. Bye-bye.